In the vast maze of existence, there is a universal but often forgotten truth. The quality of our lives is not determined by external events, but by the architecture of our inner world. We spend our lives building careers, cultivating relationships, and accumulating wealth, but we rarely stop to examine the foundation upon which all this is built, our own system of thinking. Socrates, in his immortal statement, asserted that the unexamined life is not worth living. This is more than a philosophical maxim, it is an urgent call to each individual. It challenges us to peel away the layers of habit, prejudice, and borrowed beliefs to confront the most fundamental question: who is really thinking inside me? Welcome to a journey not to explore the outside world, but to explore and redesign the inner universe. This is not a place for superficial success formulas or empty words of encouragement. This is a workshop where we will break the invisible chains of our thinking, melt old beliefs, and forge a new version of ourselves, one that is sharper, freer, and more authentic. We often mistakenly believe that our potential is limited by our inborn talent or our background. But the truth is much greater. Your greatest limitation is the boundaries of what you allow yourself to believe. Most of us live in a cognitive prison built by invisible walls, unexamined assumptions, programmed fears, and blindly accepted social norms. The life you experience is, in fact, the product of a cognitive operating system running in the background. This operating system was installed in childhood by family, school, culture, and personal experiences. It determines how you respond to failure, how you define success, who you choose to marry, and how you feel about your self-worth. But the important question is, have you ever taken the initiative to update or rewrite even a single line of code in that operating system? This journey requires courage. Courage to admit that what you have always believed to be true may be an illusion. Courage to face the emptiness when old beliefs collapse. And courage to build a new, more solid values system, based on truth and a deeper understanding of yourself. This is not an overnight revolution. It is a slow, evolutionary process that requires patience and stillness. Like a sculptor, you have to chip away at the stone, removing the excess to reveal the beautiful statue that has always been hidden inside. Every day, with just one small change, one question asked, one assumption challenged, one habitual reaction replaced with a conscious choice, you are taking a big step toward the greatest liberation of all, the liberation of your mind. If you are ready to give up the role of a passive passenger in your life and take the power of an architect, let's begin. We will not only learn how to think, we will learn how to create our thoughts, and through them, create our entire reality. Imagine your mind when you are born as a fertile land, with no well-worn paths. Every experience, every teaching, every compliment, or criticism from the outside world begins to create the first paths in that land. A teacher's words, "You have no talent for numbers," carve a small groove. A failed business venture, "I am not cut out for sales," deepens that groove. Over time, these pathways are traveled so often that they become neural highways, automatic, effortless mental responses. This is the essence of logical defaults. They are not your nature, they are brain habits. The human brain is, at its core, an energy-optimizing machine. It loves familiarity and hates uncertainty. Once a neural pathway has been established, it takes much less energy to follow it than to forge a new path through the jungle of unexplored possibilities. Examples of common logical defaults. About ability. I'm an introvert. I can't speak in public. This belief may have originated from a humiliating experience in elementary school. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you believe you can't. You never practice, and therefore, you can't do it well. The problem isn't your introverted nature, but your logical default that slams the door on skill development. About money. Money is the root of all evil, or rich people are dishonest. This default, often absorbed from your family or cultural environment, will unconsciously cause you to sabotage your financial opportunities. You may turn down a high-paying job or feel guilty about making a lot of money, all to maintain consistency with your programmed core beliefs. About love. I don't deserve to be loved, or all men/women are the same. These beliefs are often leftovers from past traumas. They act as a filter, causing you to only pay attention to evidence that confirms them. You will be attracted to the wrong people or act in ways that push others away, only to end up saying, "See, I told you so." The danger of the logical default is its invisibility. It's like a pair of glasses you wear every day and forget you have them. You think you are seeing the world objectively, but you are actually seeing through a lens that has been distorted by old beliefs. To break these assumptions, you must become an archaeologist of your own mind. This process requires honesty and self-compassion. Start by identifying an area of your life where you feel stuck. Then, ask yourself the following questions. 1. What is my core belief in this area? 2. When did I first have this belief? Who taught me it? 3. How has this belief served me in the past? 4. How is this belief holding me back now? 5. What evidence do I have that this belief is not 100% true? 6. If I let go of this belief, what would be a new, more powerful, and liberating belief? This process is not about blaming the past. It is about understanding. When you understand the origins of a belief, it loses its mystical power. It is no longer a truth about who you are, but simply a data you have gathered on your journey, data that you now have the power to erase or rewrite. True transformation begins the moment you realize, you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. From the position of observer, you have the power to choose which thoughts to keep, to nurture, and which to weed out like weeds. This is the first step to reclaiming mastery over the fertile soil of your mind. Humans are deeply social creatures. Over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, being outcast from our tribe meant death. As a result, our brains have developed a highly sophisticated mechanism for seeking approval and conformity. This mechanism, known as the herd effect or social proof, is a double-edged sword. On the positive side, it helps us learn quickly and make effective decisions in common situations. If you see people running out of a building, you run without asking why. If a restaurant is crowded, you tend to believe that the food is good. However, in the complex world of ideas, values, and life decisions, blindly following the crowd is one of the most dangerous mental traps. The crowd provides a sense of security, but it often buys that security at the expense of truth, creativity, and individuality. Solomon Ash's classic experiment demonstrated this perfectly. In the experiment, a participant was placed in a group of actors. The group was asked to compare the lengths of lines. In the first few rounds, everyone answered correctly. But then, all the actors started giving an obviously wrong answer in unison. The astonishing result was that about 75% of the participants followed the wrong answer of the crowd at least once, even though they saw the truth clearly. They would rather be wrong with the crowd than right alone. Why are we so susceptible to influence? Fear of isolation. Our primitive brains equate being different with danger. Going against the grain triggers the fear of rejection, of being seen as a freak. Cognitive laziness. Independent thinking requires energy, analysis, and responsibility. It's much easier to delegate your thinking to the crowd. We tell ourselves, if so many people believe it, there must be a reason. The illusion of objectivity. We tend to believe that if an idea is popular, it must be based on some objective truth, forgetting that human history is full of truths that were believed by the entire society but were later proven wrong. The herd effect doesn't just exist in the lab. It's dominating our lives every day. Financial bubbles. From the tulip mania of the 17th century to the dot-com bubble and the recent cryptocurrency craze, the mechanism is always the same. People invest in an asset not because they understand its intrinsic value, but because they see others doing it and fear missing out. Viral culture and fake news. On social media, a piece of information, even if it's false, can spread at breakneck speed simply because it has a lot of likes and shares. Our brains interpret these social indicators as proof of authenticity, and we share them without checking, becoming a link in a chain of misinformation. Career and lifestyle choices. Many young people choose to study hot majors following social trends instead of listening to their true passions. They buy branded items, travel to must-see destinations, get married at a certain age, all to fit into a pre-written life script. The result of living in the herd is a borrowed life. You may gain social approval, but you will lose your own unique voice. You will live a copycat life, safe but bland, and in the end, you may have to face endless regrets about the paths you did not dare to take. To resist the pull of the crowd, you need to train yourself to become a disciplined skeptic. This doesn't mean becoming an extremist, opposing everything. It means developing the habit of pausing and questioning before accepting any information. A practical exercise. Whenever you encounter a widely accepted opinion, trend, or truth, practice the 5 defenses of thinking method. 1. Source defense. Where did this information come from? Is the source credible? What are the speaker's motives? 2. Evidence defense. What concrete evidence supports this view? Is this fact or opinion? Is there any evidence to the contrary? 3. Assumption defense. What underlying assumptions are being made here? What if these assumptions are wrong? 4. Perspective defense. Is there another way to look at this? If I were in the shoes of someone with a different background, culture, or values system, what would I think? 5. Consequence defense. If I accept this belief and act on it, what will be the long-term consequences? Is it consistent with my core values and life goals? The story of Galileo Galilei is a timeless reminder. When he declared that the earth revolved around the sun, he confronted the entire belief system, science, and authority of the time. He was convicted, put under house arrest, but his truth ultimately prevailed. History does not remember the names of the judges who convicted him, but it honors the man who dared to stand alone for the truth. In your lifetime, there may not be great scientific revolutions, but every day there are personal revolutions waiting to be carried out. It is when you dare to say I disagree in a meeting where everyone nods. It is when you dare to pursue a passion that is considered impractical. That's when you dare to build a family based on genuine love instead of social pressure. Remember, the loneliness of an independent mind is temporary. But the regret of a life lived by others is permanent. If chapters 1 and 2 were about dismantling old thinking structures, this chapter is about building a new, stronger foundation. This requires equipping ourselves with a set of tools, mental models. A mental model is a framework or way of looking at the world that helps us simplify complexity and make better decisions. This is the thinking model used by great innovators like Aristotle and Elon Musk. Instead of reasoning by comparison, which is doing what others have done, first principles thinking requires you to decompose a complex problem into its fundamental, indisputable truths and then rebuild the solution from there. Example of reasoning by comparison. We want to build batteries for electric cars. Traditional batteries are very expensive, about $600/kWh. So electric cars will always be expensive. Example of first principles thinking. 1. Decompose. What materials are a battery pack made of? Nickel, cobalt, aluminum, carbon, polymer, and a few others. 2. Determine the basic cost. How much do these materials cost on the commodity market? He discovered that if these components were purchased separately, the cost would be about $80/kWh. 3. Reconstruct. So, the question now is, how can we combine these materials into a battery pack in a smart and efficient way? By doing this, Musk broke the assumption that batteries must be expensive and figured out how to make batteries at a much lower cost, revolutionizing the electric vehicle industry. How to apply this to your life? Career. Instead of asking, what jobs pay well? Ask from first principles, what skills are in demand? What do I enjoy doing? How can I combine my skills and passions to create value that others are willing to pay for? Health. Instead of what trendy diet should I follow, ask, what basic nutrients does the human body need to function optimally? What foods provide them? How can I build a sustainable lifestyle around those foods? First principles thinking frees you from the tyranny of the way things have always been done and allows you to create breakthrough solutions. Most people stop at first-order thinking. They only consider the immediate consequences of a decision. Second-order thinking is the ability to think further, to consider the consequences of those consequences. It's about asking, and then what? Example of first-order thinking: I will eat this piece of cake. First-order consequence: I will feel happy and satisfied. Example of second-order thinking: and then what? My blood sugar will spike and then crash, leaving me tired in the afternoon. And then what? If I do this every day, I will gain weight and increase my risk of diabetes. And then what? My health will decline, affecting my quality of life and relationships. Second-order thinking often helps you avoid decisions that are beneficial in the short term but disastrous in the long term. Applied to important decisions. Quitting your job: first-order consequence, freedom, escape from a bad boss. Second-order consequence, loss of steady income, financial pressure, may have difficulty finding a new job. Third-order consequence, family stress, having to cut back on spending, may have to accept a worse job. Lying, first-order consequence, avoiding an unpleasant confrontation. Second-order consequence, having to remember the lie, living in fear of being discovered. Third-order consequence, loss of trust, ruining relationships when the truth comes out. People with second-order thinking often make much better decisions in the long run. They play chess while others play checkers. This model, popularized by legendary investor Warren Buffett, suggests that each of us has a circle of knowledge and skills that we truly understand deeply. Sustainable success comes from clearly recognizing the boundaries of this circle and operating only within it. Many mistakes happen when we are overconfident and act in areas we do not truly understand. A good doctor can be a bad investor. A brilliant programmer may not have the skills to manage people. Build and respect your circle of competence. 1. Honestly assess yourself. What areas do you truly understand? Not just superficially, but with a deep understanding of the patterns, nuances, and important variables. 2. Continuously expand. Your circle of competence is not fixed. Always learn to expand it intentionally. But never fool yourself about its current size. 3. Know when to say I don't know. This is one of the most intellectual statements. Admitting ignorance and seeking advice from experts whose circle of competence fits is an act of strength, not weakness. When you combine these three thinking patterns, breaking down a problem to its core, thinking about the long-term consequences, and taking action within your area of expertise, you create a solid foundation for making informed decisions and building a successful, sustainable life. Deep thinking without action is self-delusion. Real transformation only occurs when new insights in the mind are translated into new behaviors in the real world. This is the most difficult stage, because it requires us to fight the inertia of habit and the comfort of the comfort zone. Change is not an event, but an iterative process. Instead of trying to make a perfect leap, Adopt the mindset of a scientist. Treat each action as an experiment. 1. Form a hypothesis. Based on your new thinking, create a hypothesis. 2. Run an experiment. Practice the new behavior for a set period of time. 3. Collect data. Objectively observe the results. Did your productivity actually increase? How did it feel? What obstacles appeared? 4. Analyze and adjust. Based on the data, recalibrate your approach. Maybe 90 minutes is too long. Try 60 minutes. Maybe you need to inform your colleagues about this new habit. By applying this loop, you turn your personal development from a willpower-based struggle into a data-based learning process. Each failure is no longer a failure, but simply a useful data point for the next experiment. 4.2 Build an environment that supports change. Willpower is a limited resource. Don't rely on it. Instead, create an environment where the right behavior becomes easy and the wrong behavior becomes difficult. If you want to eat healthier, don't keep junk food in the house. Prepare healthy meals. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. Delete distracting social media apps from your phone. If you want to escape a negative mindset, limit your exposure to complainers. Seek out growth-minded friends and mentors you admire. You are a product of your environment. Instead of trying to swim upstream in a toxic environment, actively change the flow. 4.3 Facing resistance. When your change challenges others. When you begin to change the way you think and act, something inevitable happens. You will encounter resistance, not only from within but also from those around you. Old friends may feel uncomfortable when you stop engaging in negative gossip. Family may not understand why you left a stable job to pursue your passion. Your change, unconsciously, is like a mirror reflecting their stagnation, and that can cause discomfort. In these situations, remember, don't try to convince. Your job is not to change others. Your job is to be true to yourself. Let the results of your life speak for themselves. Set healthy boundaries. You can love others without accepting their limiting behaviors or beliefs. Learn to say no kindly but firmly. Find your new tribe. Connect with like-minded people who are on the same journey of growth. They will be an invaluable source of encouragement and support. Conclusion: the silent revolution. The journey of mind transformation is not a destination, but a path. It is a lifelong commitment to explore, to ask questions, and to create. It does not promise a life without hardship, but it does promise a life without regrets. You have been given an extraordinary power, the power to choose how you interpret reality. External circumstances may be beyond your control, but the space between the event and your response, that is entirely your domain. In that space lies the freedom and power to shape your destiny. Start today, with the smallest thing. Question a long-held belief. Try something counterintuitive. Listen to your inner voice instead of the crowd. The greatest revolutions are not fought on battlefields or in parliaments. They are fought in the quiet of the mind, when an individual decides that he will no longer live a borrowed life, but will write his own Declaration of Independence. That revolution is waiting for you. The chisel and the stone are already in your hands. The only question left is, what statue will you choose to carve?